Dude, you only get one more, okay? You only get one more. Here you go. Here you go. Get it? You got it? All right. There you go, lay down. Sherlock loves nuts and carrots. He's like a horse. Okay, go lay down, buddy. So tomorrow I am going to the American Association of Individual Investors, their largest chapter in Los Angeles, to give a presentation about a subject that's a little bit sore to me, right? Because it's this concept that your retirement is a number. It's some kind of financial number. I mean, there are books that have in their subtitle, hey, your retirement is not an age, it's actually a number. So this is how you figure out that number so you can be happy. I think that's a horrible way of thinking. And I think it's a way that's going to lead you down some really bad paths and could actually cost you your only life. So let's just explore this because I want to make sure you get this and it'll get it off my chest because this is really a sore subject. So let's figure out why this idea of a number is such a bad idea, okay? Come on. So a few years ago, I taught the retirement planning section for the CFP certificate program at the University of Texas of Arlington. So that is teaching future certified financial planners the retirement planning process. And the process basically boils you down to this retirement number approach of a net present value calculator. So it really is the best practice of the industry. And as I was teaching it, and really as I've walked life with clients, I realized it's a horrible way to plan, in my opinion, and we're going to show you an example of it so you can see the bad choices that it's going to lead you to if you limit your life to this. Now, why do we even use this concept of a retirement number? Well, it worked for your parents. So this definitely worked to fight the last generation's battle to have a great life in retirement. Because think about your parents. They lived a shorter life. They had a pension typically. They lived very local lives. They were usually looking at retirement as a chance to really sit on the park bench of life and relax because they were worn out from years of work. You look at baby boomers, people like you're not like your parents. One, you're going to live longer than any generation in the history of mankind. How cool is that? That's sort of exciting. So if you retire at 60, you're thinking about 30 years of life. Two, you likely don't have a pension or it's a lot less robust than the pension that your parents had. Three, unlike your parents, you view retirement not as a chance to sit on the park bench and move to Florida and read books. You're probably viewing retirement as your chance to finally live and pursue things that you want to pursue. And then lastly, you're much more experience focused. You want to travel, you want to start businesses, you want to do things, you want to go on vacations with your grandkids. So the simple math worked for your parents, but it's not working for baby boomers. And it's costing you, potentially, your life in what you have to do to try to make those numbers work. So it's a really dangerous thing. So let's go look at an example so you can hopefully get what I'm talking about. All right, the best way to show you why a financial number as a definition for how you should think about your retirement is such a horrible idea is to just use a calculator that really demonstrates what is considered the best practice in our industry to help you create the life that you want. All right, so I went to a retirement calculator online. This is one that is from one of the major financial firms in the world, really. There are hundreds of retirement calculators out there, so they're all about the same. They're following the same concept, which is making your life a financial number that you got to solve for. All right, so let's assume we got John and Sally. And John and Sally, they're not 35. Let's say they're 55 years old, and they're sitting on the couch. Or they're sitting with a financial advisor, and they're starting to think about retirement. So they're 55 years old, and let's say John and Sally make $150,000. By the way, these calculators are fun to play with, aren't they? They make it seem like this really is how you should define your life. So John and Sally are 55. They make $150,000 a year. And then the next input that an advisor or a calculator is going to need is, okay, well, how much have you saved right now? And let's say John and Sally have saved $1 million at the age of 55. That's not bad, right? Raising a family in America, that's not bad. And now they are saving, let's say, $4,000 a month. All right, about $48,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So we know how old they are. We know how much money they have, and we know what they're saving. These are all important numbers when you're boiling your life down to a number. And now we need to know, okay, how much are they going to need as a spending budget when they actually retire? Well, the rule of thumb, according to this calculator and really experts, is that you're going to need about 85% of your pre-retirement income to maintain your current lifestyle. So for John and Sally, $127,500. So that's what they're going to need to maintain their lifestyle according to the calculator, which is following basically what an advisor would do as well. And then we got to assume, okay, how are they investing their $1 million? We're just going to assume that it's in a moderate portfolio. And then we need to look at what their number is. Now, if they want to retire at age 67, hey, they're there. Their number is $3.38 million. So if they're willing to retire at age 67, we know what John and Sally's number is. But John and Sally at age 55, they've been working for decades. They don't want to retire at age 67. They want to be able to live a little bit. They say, no, we want to retire at 62. So, their number goes up to $3.42 million. But look at this. We got a huge gap in what they currently have and what they're saving and what they need according to this math approach. They're pretty adamant they don't want to work to 67, so the advisor or the calculator will have to come up with solutions. And the solution, the choice set, is pretty much what you're seeing here on the right-hand side. You can save more money, and according to this calculator anyway, you're going to have to save between $9,000 and $14,000 more a year in order to hit that number. So let's play with that. Let's say they go to $14,000 a year in savings. Hey, that will allow them to hit what their magical retirement number is. But wait a second. $14,000 a month in savings? That's more than they make a year. So that's definitely not going to happen. They say, hey, we could save an extra $1,000 a month. So let's put that at 5. And that closes the gap a little bit, but there's a lot more to do there. Let's say through discussion, they say, okay, well, if this is what the number is, we're willing to work, say, 2 more years. Well, that gets us closer. You can see it's so cool how dynamic this stuff is. It gets us closer, but there's still a gap there. So they're saving more. They're going to work 2 more years. What if they took more investment risk? Let's say we make them aggressive. It helps a little bit, but so we'll make them moderately aggressive because that's going to help, but there's still a gap. So another lever they can have is, well, maybe we settle for less when we're retired, and through this calculator, they play around and say, well, 75% of our income. They've gotten to where, according to the calculator, and this is the best practice in the industry, by making these adjustments, they can achieve this retirement, or at least position to achieve this retirement. But let's look at this for a second. Let's reframe some of these choices. If they're going to save an extra $1,000 a month, that's $1,000 a month that they're going to have to sacrifice in how they're living today. Right? They're either going to have to work harder to earn that extra $1,000 a month, or they're going to have to settle for less disposable income in order to live the kind of life that they want right now. Right? So there's an actual cost to their life in making that decision. Let's look at this. 2 more years of work. Well, if they're in corporate jobs, and I encounter this a lot, by the time you're 55, you can do it, but man, you're ready to get out of the rat race. So by working 2 more years, they're facing 2 more years without the time freedom to pursue things that they're really excited about. Because they're going to have to either work harder or live on less to save the extra $1,000. Now they got to do it for 2 more years, and then they're going to have to settle for less of a lifestyle when they actually retire, because that's the only way the numbers are going to work. Oh yeah, and they're going to have to take more investment risk in order to hopefully position themselves for success. These are the normal levers that calculators and financial planners use to help you solve for your retirement number. Well, no wonder we're not excited about retirement. Okay, Mr. John and Sally, you're going to have to live less of a life now by either working harder or spending less. You're going to have to do it for longer so you can settle for less later on, and you're going to have to deal with more volatility potentially in your portfolio. There's a plan for you. This is the best practice in the industry. This is what happens if you define your life as a financial number. No wonder we're not that excited about retirement planning. Holy cow, that was depressing. Do you see what I'm saying about the deficiencies in this very one-dimensional approach to thinking about your life and thinking about retirement? And this is the best practice. You got to be careful how you define the problems in your life, right? Because how you define the problem is going to define the choices that are presented to you. And if you think of your life as a one-dimensional math problem, you're going to be presented with the choices that we just looked at. And that's the best practice in the retirement planning industry. I'm sorry, it just makes me sad. Because here's the reality. Your life is multi-dimensional. There are dreams, wants, wishes, desires, fears, aspirations. There's so many other options you have to creating not just a great retirement, but a great life if you use a process that opens your mind to thinking about where you can pull levers to do that. We talk about some of these on the show and on our podcast. Really, that's what we're all about. A few weeks ago, what are some of those levers? A few weeks ago, we talked about pre-retirement. The idea of maybe leaving full-time work, being willing to work part-time in order to buy yourself some time freedom. That's a lever that a lot of people pull. We're going to talk about another one next week, which is being a little bit more elegant in how you think about how much money you need to spend in retirement. There's this concept about tiered retirements, and we're going to get into that next week. You and I together, we're going to work to think creatively so we can not just create a great retirement, but we can actually make sure that we create a great life. And we find that balance in between. I would love to hear how you approach retirement and your experience with these type of calculators and how you think creatively about your life, because I'm sure we can all help each other. So leave your comments below, subscribe above or somewhere else so we can walk this journey together to creating a great life and rocking retirement. All right, I'm off to LA to go present this whole thing to the AAII.